What in your life is asking for a solution, for some attention at the moment? Is there something you experience as a challenge, as an issue, as something you want to bring change to? This is what this video is going to be about. Looking into what you experience as a problem and going a bit deeper. Looking from different perspective to the problem, asking questions, and by doing that, starting to tweak the definition of that specific problem, and doing that, opening up to new possible solutions, to new ways to look at it, and to new ways to think possible solution. A completely different way to look at the same situation. My name is Lara Briozzo. I work as a coach, therapist, and meditation teacher, and I'm going to guide you through some activities, some reflection. The first thing I would like to do is to induce a bit of relaxation, or a deeper relaxation if you're already relaxed. The reason why this is important is that when you are relaxed, you are deeper in contact with yourself, and all the activities that you do, all the exercises that you execute in a video session like this, or the question you ask yourself as a self-reflection, everything is much more closer to yourself. It is more effective. You reach a deeper level of yourself. You come quicker to the truth of what's inside of you. That's why we start with a bit of relaxation. So the invitation is to sit in a comfortable position and to pay attention to a couple of details, that your feet touch the ground comfortably. If you need to put something under your feet, like a little cushion or a carpet, something, whatever it's needed, so that your feet can really rest on the ground without having to push or to touch, because maybe the chair is a bit too high for you. And when you are sitting up, another important thing is that your back is straight, relaxed, but straight up. And the third important thing is that your chin is slightly towards your chest. This allows the spine to stretch up completely, and therefore the energy that moves in your spine to travel comfortably. When you are in this position, you start to bring the attention towards yourself. And you can close your eyes at any moment during this relaxation exercise. It doesn't matter. If it's more comfortable to have your eyes open, that's also possible. You bring your attention to your feet. And you feel how your feet are touching the ground. And you feel the consistency of your feet. You feel the muscle massa in your feet. You go with the intention to feel the bones inside of your feet. You probably have a visual image of how the bones more or less look like in your feet, and you use that image to get a perception, a physical experience of the bones in your feet. And then you realize that there's much more than just bones and muscle in your feet. There's a lot of ligaments. There are little veins and capillaries and tissues of all sorts. And becoming aware of all the tissues forming your feet makes you really aware of your feet and of the density of your feet. And as you do that, you start to feel that the awareness of the solidity, the awareness of the material side of your body expands more and more. And then you feel your ankle as well. You become aware also of all the tissues inside of your ankle, the bones, the muscle, the ligaments, the blood vessels. And then it goes up your legs until your knee. And you keep having this really three-dimensional and really solid perception of your body. You really feel and are aware somehow, much more than you normally are, of the density of your body. And there is a really grounding sensation coming from the realization of how much solidity it's in your body. You really feel how solid the whole skeleton makes your body, and you are moving up again your legs. You are reaching slowly your hips, and you are more and more aware of all these massa of tissues, the muscles and the bones, and how strong are the bones, and how much work do the muscle for you every day. And in your hips, in your where your buttocks feels the chair where you're sitting, and you feel all the organs, the genital organs and the intestine, everything laying on your hips. These really peculiar hip bones, and how they define also your sexuality, if you are a man or a woman. If you are a woman, it's really, there's a lot going on inside of your hips. And if you have had children, there's also a lot of memories of what this part of your body have been going through to allow the birth of your children. And even if you don't have children, you know that that ability exists in your body, that there is a flexibility and an adaptability and a strength that is enormous. And by going through in such an aware way through your body, through the tissues making your body, you become also aware of the strength that is present in your body, even when you don't use it. The strength and the potential is there, and the strength and the potential is there for you to use for whatever you need, also for the solution of your problems. And if you move up your torso, you will find more internal organs that are really, really important for our survival. And you notice that there is this big dominant set of bones, your spine, that is running through the back side of this torso massa of organs, the rest of the intestine, the spleen, the milt, your liver, your stomach, and then you have the rib cage. These all are also embraced through tissues, through muscles. And then the rib cage with the muscle, most important of them all, the heart muscle, and the lungs, and the thymus inside. Become aware of the solidity, substance of this muscle, these bones, all the tissue holding this together and making it work in unison. And then feel also, as you felt your legs, feel your arms in all their lengths, with the bones, the muscles and all the ligaments that make all movement possible. And then go up your spine. You have been running through all your spine from your hips. Now you are at your neck, and feel the sensation around your neck, all the muscle and the tissue, and then up towards your head, your skull, until reaching the center of your head. That you, if from the center of your head you move sideways, you come to this point just a centimeters on top of the highest point of your ears. And that's a place where you can find a feeling of awareness of your body and of grounding, and at the same time of opening towards the non-material that is also a part of you. And just stay a little bit in this peaceful place where you can feel the contact with your whole body, with the solidity of your body, with the power of functioning of your body. And you can notice, even if you have a part of your body hurting or a part of your body being sick or not functioning properly, you will notice that there is so much more. There is another part of your body that functions perfectly, that keeps you breathing and keeps your heart beating. That it's a big, well-functioning machine that survives, that heals, that has a natural tendency to overcome difficulty, that your body in its whole has this enormous power to heal, renew, regenerate. And stay with this awareness few moments more. And let this awareness contaminate your thoughts. Let this awareness wear off on your thinking about yourself and about your life, to realize how much potential, how much power it is stored just in your body, in what your body is capable of. Without having any special skills, without having learned anything specific, having a body, being incarnated, already makes of you a powerful machine that can heal, that can overcome difficulties, can regenerate, can overcome. Now, take with you this strong feeling of centeredness, grounding, and awareness of your potential. As you come back to the awareness of the space around you, and we go further with some activity. Some activities to look at your problem, to see what's at play, to see if there are different ways you can look at the problem, if there is more to find out about the one thing you are experiencing as a problem, or the one thing you decide to use for this video, for the purpose of the activities in this video. And I was reading something yesterday that it was about problems. It was really interesting. It was about how a problem is nothing more than facts being dissonant with your expectation. So when you expect something and the facts prove differently, then you feel that you have a problem. And that's a really interesting way to look at the situation, in the sense that if you are experiencing something as an issue, it's interesting to separate the two things, to separate what is the facts, that you are struggling with, and what is your expectation. To give an example, well, this book was about the relationship between parents and their children, but you can have the same example. Imagine that you would like to have a different job from the one you have now, or maybe you want a job because you don't have one now. So the facts are your current situation. The facts are that you either have no job or a job you're not happy in. your expectation is to be in a job, or to be in a job you like. And the exploration of which of these two variables can you influence and which do you have to accept as it is a bit what this book was about. But what I noticed while reading it, that there was a lot of focus on the outside. There was a lot of focus on the facts that are outside of your control. And they were treated the same way as your expectation that is in your control. You can change your expectation. You can make decision about what do you desire, what do you decide that is reasonable to expect, what do you decide that you want. And that made me realize that that's a really important shift, a really important difference that I feel needs to be made to make problems solvable. So the first thing I would like to suggest that you do, also to see what is your approach to problem, is to maybe after the explanation set this video on pause for a while, but to take 10 minutes, set a clock, and then a piece of paper, a pen, and just write down, trying to be really instinctual, really spontaneous, without too much thinking. Write down everything about the situation you experience as problematic, everything about your problem. And if you get stuck, if in the 10 minutes, if it feels like filling up 10 minutes is really a lot, start sentence with I feel. So 10 minutes, pen and paper, no rules whatsoever. You don't need to use punctuation or so. It would be nice if you can somehow read it back afterwards. Just 10 minutes, pour everything out about your problem as you see it, what you think about it, and put it all down. If you get stuck, start with I feel. So assuming you took a break, you put the video in pause and you just spent 10 minutes writing down everything about your problem. Now this is a kind of reading back what you wrote. It's a way to look yourself in the mirror, being confronted to how you look at your problem. And it could be a bit painful. However, the bigger the pain, the bigger the gain, in the sense that the more it's painful, the more it's deep, the realization, and the more it's relevant when you turn it around. This said, it could be that it's not that bad after all. What I would like you to look back for is, did you write things about material side of things? By material side of things, I mean your body, therefore your health, your appearances, or more material things like money, belongings. Do these things appear in your description? If they do appear, notice how they appear. And see if you recognize something of yourself. Maybe you wrote, maybe the problem, they are not related to the problem, but they still appear in your description. Maybe they do not appear in your description whatsoever, but now that I ask this question, you are triggered to write something about it. Could be. The reason why I ask these and the coming question is that there are different dimensions to ourselves as people, and what I invite you to do is to look if you have already explored all of these 6 dimensions while spontaneously writing about your problem, or if there are some dimensions where that you did not mention. And the reason could be that a dimension you did not mention, it's because it's not problematic, because au contraire, there's some resources in that dimension that you can use to support the endeavor of solving the problem. Or it could be something else that emerges to your consciousness when we look into it. So the first dimension is the body. So does your body as or your material, the material side of your life, as an influence, has been mentioned in your description of the problem, and either it has been mentioned or not, make some reflection about it. Is it okay that it's not been mentioned because it's not relevant? If it's about finding a better job, for instance, your physicality, your health could be totally irrelevant. Could also be that the reason you did not mention it is because there is a treasure of resources. Maybe you are looking for another job, maybe you need to do some courses to get to the job you would like, and the fact that you are really fit, it's gonna help you to handle better the extra work, the extra time you have to invest after work to also do the study to achieve your result. So by reflecting on this dimension, you can either identify things you had overlooked before or discover resources. The second dimension is emotions. How many emotions did you uncover writing down about your problem? You remember my suggestion was, if you got stuck, to start the sentence with I feel. That's emotion. Emotions are really important. We will see some more later, but the emotion sometimes is really what makes us experience something as a problem instead of not a problem. The same situation, if we change the emotion we have, if for some reason it changes the emotion we have, it could turn a problem in a not problem. So it's really important to see, did you find emotion? What are the emotions? Did you find emotion you knew you had with regards to this problem? Or were you surprised by the emotion? Or you struggle, maybe you struggle to put down in paper the emotion, and this is then the time where you reflect a second. And in that case, in the case we struggle with identifying the emotions, I'm gonna help you with mentioning the 5 basic feelings, the basic feelings that are fear, sadness, anger, joy, and I'm struggling with the last one. Let's work with this for if it doesn't come, it must be not relevant. I give you an example of how an emotion can remain hidden. Let's go back to the example of wanting a different job. Maybe you are focusing on the anger, being angry to the situation, to people that may, by your impression, keep you in that situation. And you may have also a sadness because you had big expectation when you started this job in this company. You really thought you could grow much more and not needing to go somewhere else for growth. Or you could be scared. You could have, without realizing at some level, some kind of fear that that you may not manage, that something could be so in the way that you do not manage to achieve your goal. And these things, if not seen, could ask a lot of energy of you and cost you energy that you could otherwise invest in solving the problem. So this is how you look at the emotion and why it's important to do that. The next dimension is the cognitive dimension, and that's the thinking. That's the thing we are sure about, the things that we consider the truth, the things that we say in our head and that we probably wrote down about what we believe, what we think about the problem. look at what you found, what you wrote down, and take out the thinking, take out the things you are convinced about, your beliefs, and see, isolate them somehow. You may find things as that changing job, it's difficult. We are in a crisis moment. It's almost impossible to land a better job. For how much this can be a founded conclusion, it's also something that if it becomes an inner belief, can become a limitation. Because the reality is that even in recessions, some people find better jobs. And so the reason to look at this is keeping into account what the reality is always good, but not letting limiting beliefs, limiting your ability to create, to go for something better, it's also good. If the reality limits us, makes it a bit more difficult, we can handle it and we can do something about it. But if we make it for ourselves more difficult by limiting even the thinking of the possibility of a solution by adopting and absorbing negative beliefs, then it becomes really difficult. We can handle reality, but we need positive thoughts, we need hopeful thoughts, we need to see that the reality is that much more is possible than statistics suggests. And by becoming aware of how your thinking is influencing the situation, you understand what may need some tweaking, which kind of beliefs may need some refreshing. For instance, in the situation of a crisis, finding a new job, you can look more at what are my competitive advantages, what makes me special, more desirable to company. You understand? So it's about using what you have to turn around the thinking in a way that is positive. The next dimension is the behavior. So look if in the text that you wrote down, if you can find something about your behavior. And if you haven't, observe yourself. What is your behavior when you realize that you are in this situation, in this problem? And I'm gonna keep using this example. Imagine you are in a job and you would like to be in another job. How do you behave? Are you really calm, a bit invisible, or are you making a lot of noise, in the sense that are you participating a lot and doing as if you were staying in the job because you prefer nobody to know what is in your head? Or do you work less because you are done with that work and you are already looking at the next one? There's no judgment whatsoever. It's just an invitation to reflect on what you do, what's your behavior. How do you behave in this situation? And did something about your behavior emerged in the description you did of your problem or not? It could be behavior is something really often that we forgot to notice. It's more for the others to notice. By becoming aware of your behavior, you become also more aware of how you influence your environment. You may understand better why your environment reacts in a certain way. And that brings us to the next dimension, that is the social dimension. How does your problem affect your social dimension, your relationship with people in the environment where the problems take place, but also in other environments? So it could be that the relationship with your colleagues have changed since you want to be in another work, and that you just found out that your behavior actually changed and that maybe your colleagues are reacting to a different behavior. By realizing all these, you can stop a second and say, okay, what's my objective here in this temporary phase in which I'm still in the old situation and I'm working out and moving towards the new situation. How do I want to handle this period? How do I want to behave? Which kind of relationship I want to with the people around me? Becoming aware and making new choices. This is really important with regards to these areas. The last dimension, the sixth, is the spiritual dimension. The spiritual dimension, and that's would be really interesting to know if this emerges anyhow in the description you made in this writing, this 10 minutes writing exercise you did describing your problem. The spiritual dimension has to do with your purpose in life, the essence of life. How busy are you? How aware are you with regards to how this current situation is playing a role, is interfacing with the higher purpose, with the bigger picture in your life? Did you already wrote something about it? Are you already aware at that level? If not, as really often is, when we have a problem, we tend to crumble in the nitty-gritty and forget that the solution of that problem normally has a wider perspective, plays a role in the bigger picture. And then it's here the opportunity to think about that and to look at how the problem is in the way of you realizing your purpose, and how the solution, it's important to get back on track on that life purpose you are working at. So this is a journey through the sixth dimension, to look in a different way to your problem, to see how much of this dimension have you considered while writing, and how much have you left behind. Also to see in which of these areas are the stress factor, the things that makes the problem even more difficult. In which area are there resources, help that you can use to face in a different way the situation. Something that I want to do next is going back to what I said about the looking at the problem as an opposition between facts and expectation. Facts are outside, we cannot influence them most of the time. Expectations are inside, we can change everything about expectation and about how we feel about our expectation. So the next step that I would like to invite you to do is to express your problem, to describe your problem in a way where you are the protagonist. And by this I mean, for instance, let's say that you have this situation at work where you want to change. You could say, my problem is that I work in an unfriendly environment where I cannot grow. When you become the protagonist, you talk about yourself. You say, I'm currently in a job where I'm not satisfied, where I don't feel that I can grow as much as I want. Where then it changes. Because when you say I'm in an unfriendly environment, I am in one unfriendly environment, you are putting all the weight of the problem on the environment. And the problem with that is that you can do really little about the environment. When you turn it around and you say, I'm not satisfied, sorry. When you say, I'm not satisfied, I want something different from what I experience now, you move the problem back to inside of you. And when it's you not being satisfied, you can ask, what do I need to be satisfied? Where can I find it? You have again control over what is possible, what can happen, and you can adapt your expectation, because when you say, I'm not satisfied, When I started this job 5 years ago, I'm just fantasizing around this example. I was in a certain way, I grew, and now I don't feel I have the space that I need now in this company. So it's not the problem of the company is great. It's me. So what do I need? What do I need to take care of myself? It's not a conflict with an environment that is not giving you what you want. It's just a moment of realization with yourself and taking care of yourself. What do you need? If you go from there, you also find easily, with more ease, the kind of work, the kind of company you may want to work for. To make this even more clear, I want to use also another example. Let's say that you are not happy where you are living. Maybe you are living with other people, or maybe you are in a relationship where you are not happy anymore. You can make it about the other person. You can say, yeah, they don't understand me, they don't give me the space. Or you can say, wow, I realized that I need something different from what I have now. What do I need? Can I enter in a dialogue with the people I live in, or with the person I'm in a relationship with? Can I explain? Can I bring to expression where I'm at and what I need? And from there, see if the solution is something we can find together, or if the solution is parting ways. But you take it back to yourself, it becomes solvable when you take it back to yourself. So define your problem in a way where you are the protagonist. You, the way you feel, what you need, what you want. That's the challenge, the next challenge. And then by doing that, by identifying the problem like this, you are defining the problem in a really clear way, and you are starting to separate somehow from the problem, to go even deeper. Now that you are the protagonist, and we did a lot of work, of preparation work already, but let's look at why is this problem for you a problem. So, and let's go inside to do this. And by that I mean, going back to the example, let's change example. Let's say that you are in a living situation. Maybe the neighbors are becoming a problem. I was talking to someone a few weeks ago. She had just moved with her family because the relationship with the neighbors had become unbearable. It was completely out of control. And the only solution was to move because this person was not approachable. So let's imagine you are in a situation like that. Your problem is that there is a neighbor that is making life hell in a way. What is the problem for you in the fact that you have a neighbor that is making your life hell? And you could come to things like, I don't feel safe. I don't feel safe in my own house. I'm just giving an example, but to help you understand in which area of your inner life, inner world we are looking for. And if that's the problem, what is a problem for you personally that you don't feel safe? And you could say, yeah, if I don't feel safe in my house, I don't feel I'm at home. It feels like I'm fighting. I have to stay alert, and that's exhausting. And So that's a bit of the problem. It's just stressing me out the whole time. Instead of being in a place where I'm home, I'm stressed out. And then you go a bit deeper. So why is that problematic for you personally? And it may sound so obvious that if you are in a home situation, feeling so stressed is a problem, but go for you. This exercise is meant to uncover what personally for you, which is the trigger for you. And you may find out that there could be a memory maybe of when you, in the past, when in a certain situation, that doesn't necessarily have to do with a place you had been living, but where you were triggered in a really negative emotion, and this situation with the neighbor triggers the same emotions. And then you realize, wow, I have this it's really about feeling safe. It's really about being able to relax, close my eyes, sleep, knowing that I'm safe in my place. And then knowing that the outcome could still be that you simply have to move somewhere, or it could be that from that place of making yourself safe, you face the next conversation with your neighbor from a really different place that triggers also a different reaction in your neighbor, but you are really you really know what's going on. It's not about the neighbor, it's about your right, your need to feel absolutely safe and to be able to close your eyes and relax completely when you go home, when you go to sleep. Now, this can be a bit complex, so I'm going to use also the other example. Let's say that you want you are in a job that you are not satisfied with anymore. What is for you the biggest problem? And you could say, I get bored all day. I really don't like to have this boredom, this feeling of not doing anything relevant. I say, what is the problem for you then, personally, to feel like you're not doing something of relevance? It may feel like losing your time, wasting your time. Or it may feel... and what's the problem wasting your time? And you may find out that you are actually, for instance, that you have a desire to do certain things, you have dreams that you would like to realize, and that's maybe the dream of traveling around the world that you are putting aside because you do have to work, and say, if I do a work that is worthwhile, then it's less painful to put aside this dream of traveling around the world. And at the same time, you may realize, hey, maybe I need more a sabbatical to do this journey around the world and I need a new job. These are just really crazy examples to tell you how much can come out of your consciousness while you start to ask questions. Why? Why is that a problem? And ask why another time. I think the indication is to ask it 5 times. If you ask 5 times the why of the why of the why of the why, you come really deep to the essence of what is actually the problem. And by doing all this, you notice that you and the problem are more and more 2 separate things. I hope that by now you see the problem as something you have, something you see in front of you, something you can describe more and more in details and can understand better and better, and therefore that you see more and more the possibility for solutions that are probably much wider, much more creative that you could envision at the beginning of this video. So this is my hope for you, and these of course you can watch over and over and do over and over with different problems. I would love to read about what your experience has been, and eventually question that you may have about how to use properly, on how to get unstuck, or on something you may have experienced. Take care.